Boogaerdt and I'm from Bergen. I've been working in many years with Ole Bjørn Tisnes. I'm a nurse. And now I've been working at the Sunniva clinic in Bergen for since '98. Before that I was working at the Heukeland hospital. And my first meeting with an ALS patient, that was when I was working at the intensive care in the 70s. That was a patient who had gotten a severe pneumonia. He was at home and there was they had to do a tracheostomy. And it was very, very difficult for us. We had never heard about ALS and we had to read, we had to tell each other what to do. And it was, that was very impressive for me and I never forget that time. Then I went to the neurological department and met again ALS patients. And so I started working at the Sunniva clinic, and there we have, it's a clinic for patients who can't get well. Most of them are have cancer, and 17 of our patients. I'm sorry, I'm talking about patients, I'm sorry. 17, we have 17 people with ALS. And my first, one of the first ladies I met, she was a very, very wise lady. I have to tell, I had visitors from England this weekend, and they have a little son. And so, he's 6 years, and he said to me, Auntie Pieta, Mommy said I mustn't tell you, but I do. I think your English is weird. I hope you understand me. Not only is my English weird, but I like to use the overhead too, so I'm old-fashioned too. But one of my first patients was a very wise lady, and we had those meetings I tell you about a little bit later, and I asked her what was it like to get the diagnosis. She knew that I was coursing all the nurses in our surrounding, and she said, you have to tell them this. Take a sheet of paper, and I did. She couldn't move her arms and her legs, but she could speak and she could eat and swallow. And then she asked me to make this, a circle, and I had to write her name and her children's names. And she said, that was how I felt at that time. I felt totally alone in the world. I didn't know any other people who had ALS. My son went to the internet and he was reading all kinds of medical articles, and he came with one article after another, and they were so bad for me to read, so it was very difficult for her. And she said, my husband, he got cancer. He got cancer prostata. And he had asked the doctor, can I get well? And the doctor said, yes, you can. We can try. I think you can get well again. And he died several years later of a heart attack. But when she asked the doctor, can I get well? Is it possible to have medicine or something else, an operation? Then the doctor said, no, but we can try to help you as much as possible to have a good life. And for her it was very important that I should tell this. What do we see at the Sunniva Hospice when we meet the patients, when we meet the people with ALS? When we come in, lots of people have had their diagnosis for a long time, and they are tired and they have struggled a lot. we see they have had a lot of function, they have increased helplessness, they are dependent of help, and they feel isolated, lots of them. They have grief, fear, and the family feels they are burned out. And then we see, and it was so nice to hear Jens Rabeck when he was telling about Denmark, and I was thinking, oh, that should have been in Norway too. We should have had those possibilities in Norway. Can I have some water? Because we see the same thing, what he told about, all the people, the family and the patient have to meet. They have to meet the hospital, not only the neurological department, but the lung department, with all the people there, the people in the polyclinics, the people in when they have to be 24 hours in the hospital, they have the transport services, the home nursing, the ergotherapists, you can read it. And behind all these words are several people. So you have to cope with so many people. And what we want to do, we want to make a circle. We have the patient and his family in the middle. We have the local health services, and we have a multi-professional group around the patient. And so we have to do the work. I've been told to be fast, so I'm going fast now. We want to establish a group, and that group is the smallest group is the nurse, the physiotherapist, the doctor, the GP, and if it's possible, the local Pieta. Yeah. Yes, yes. And so we take the other ones if it's necessary. We have those meetings. We would like to have them from the time of diagnosis, because it's good to meet the patients when they still can tell us what they want of us. It's good to see the patient when he is able to show us how he's functioning in his own home. So that's why we want to be in the patient's home. We want to have regular meetings, and it's very important to have a list of subjects for discussion. We have minutes of the meeting, and we have guidance for the helpers if that's necessary. It's special for the protracted illness. It's from the time of the diagnosis we see that's not possible. I tried it once, then the neurological department wanted me to come to a patient because there was so many difficulties around him, and they asked me to come as soon as possible. So he had got his diagnosis and I came. And in Bergen, the name Sunniva Clinic is, it's an okay name, but people think about us, we are for the people who are going to die soon. And that's why when I told that patient that I came from the Sunniva Clinic, so he said, do you suppose I'm going to die soon? Oh no, I said, why do you ask that? Yes, because he had friends and they were at the Sunniva Clinic and they had died very soon. And he didn't want to talk to me. He didn't like to hear about what we could help him, with what we could help him, so that was not a good meeting. And I think it's very personal when the people want to meet us. We see that the home nurses are the people who take contact with us. They see the problems in the homes and they ask us to come. And if they have met us, we can go on. I have another story. There was the same wise lady I told you in the start. And I met her the first time when she had been ill several years. She had the classic ALS, so she couldn't move her hands and she couldn't move her feet. But she was able to talk, as I told you before. But what happened, she lived on an island. She lived high in the mountains. She lived all by herself in an old farmhouse, old-fashioned farmhouse. But she could manage everything in her house, but by using the stick. And she had lots of combinations, and she could open the door, and she could close the windows, and she could put on the TV, and all that. She could manage by herself. But so her night alarm didn't work, and so it couldn't be repaired, because the only man who could repair that alarm, he was sick, he was ill, and they thought he was ill in several weeks. He didn't come back in several weeks. So they made a telephone call till the Sunniva Hospits, till the Sunniva clinic, and asked whether we could help. So I took the bus, and they come and got me, because it was a long travel. And when I came there, I met this lady, and we talked about how we could help her. And so I said, we have to look. Is there anything you can move? We can make an arrangement. But there was no possibility of moving her hands. There was no possibility to move her knees, nothing. And at last we had to take off the socks. And so her left big toe, she could move that a little bit. And so we took an alarm, normally an ordinary alarm, and lots of patients have it, and we had that on her toe, and one of the neighbors, he made a little box, and the day after, and so we said we have to try. And the day afterwards, at 11 o'clock, there was a telephone call to me. And that was that lady I talked about. And she said to me, thank you for coming yesterday. That was so good to get help from you, because now I'm able to manage everything again. So it was working. And I thought, what a vitality, so fantastic. And she used it for a long time. I said, lead about the group. Here I have it once again. You see patient, family nurse, local doctor, physiotherapist, and other partners, social worker, and all the other ones we need. The most important thing for us, that's we have to have a good cooperation between the hospital and the local health services. And it's very important for us to have time to know each other and to see what's important for you, what do you want to do. We have to learn, we have to plan, organize, and prevent later important. I got, did you see that? I got it translated yesterday and didn't control. I don't blame them. It was competence and not impotence. She wrote impotence. I have to show it. She's not here. She's not here. Impotence. I'm flushing. Why do we want to have the meetings in the patient's home? Yes, we have done this work in since I came in the hospital in the Sunniva clinic since '98. We have been working like this, and we have at first we had the meetings not in the homes, but only with a special person, with our specialists, and it's not good. And now we always have it in the patient's home, because it gives the family and the patient power. We are visitors in their home, and we have to respect that. And it's necessary to understand the situation, because they can tell you how the house looks. When they need a new chair, I say something. But if you haven't seen it, you are not quite sure about the door, you're not quite sure about the bathroom. So to see the house is very important. And then we can do a much better job. And we have to hear what does the patient want, because when there are coming more and more things in the house, where to put it? Where does the family want those things? What do they want of us? There are lots of things we have to think about. The meetings are regular. It's not as necessary, because we know that things can change, and then it's very important that we have regular meetings. Needs comes often within the group, and we have meetings every 2 to 3 months in the beginning. But when there are many problems in a family, we try 2 to 3. We try this, but if it's very difficult and there are lots of problems, then we have the meetings once a month to start with and to control. Do they do the things we have? Are the things we have ordered? Are they coming in the house? Do they function? So that's very important. Until 1 to 2 hours each time we meet. I try 1 time because it's very tiring. List of subjects for the discussion. The patient family make up the list for discussion. I think it's very often together with a coordinator. There's a coordinator in the group, and they make the list. They indicate the actual need, and the group can add to the list. And then I have to tell you a story about a family. I'm allowed to tell those stories. I can't say this often. No. There was a family, and the husband was ill, and his wife, she was very caring and very nervous. And we had those discussions, and the patient, he asked us, what is going to happen now? Tell us. And we had to tell what he was asking for. And we didn't notice that his wife got very nervous of this. And so, once he told us when we came, my wife has a headache, she is not coming in the meeting. We didn't like it because it's very important that the family is together, but she wouldn't come, she had a headache, and we had a meeting without her. So the next time sore, she again had a headache and wouldn't come. And then I asked the patient, can I go and talk to her? Because I want to know, why is she having a headache every time when we have our meetings? It's important that she hears what we are talking about, because then they can talk together again and talk it through. And I went to the bedroom, and she was lying in a dark room. And I asked her why she wasn't in the meeting. Asked her whether she had a migraine. And she said no. She started crying and said no. But you're specialists altogether. My husband is asking. I tell him not to ask so much. I see that he's getting worse. But I can't accept it. It's too much for me. And when you are as specialist then give him straight answers, it's too much for me. I can't bear it. And I asked her, how can we do it in a better way so you can be with us? And she said she didn't know, but we talked about it and we found a way to have those meetings and she could share. And that's very important. When we have those lists and we have planned the next meeting, so we send a referee to all the people too, so they can come back. And I had a teacher, she was a teacher, and I was the referee. And I got it back, and she had used her red pencil, because I'm Dutch and I'm writing wrong a little bit. So then I had to do it better. But the minutes of the meeting state the problem and suggestions for action or solution. Or this is very important, indicate person. We have to tell who is responsible to do what we are talking about. Here you have it, copy of the minutes is sent to all in the group. And we have to be sure, in the end of the meeting, we say, we have talked about this, about this, about this, about this, about this. Is this okay? And then when it's okay, we send it out. It's in the next meeting, we always ask, did it work what we did? Why isn't the chair, why didn't he come? And then we have to tell why the things are not okay. Or why did not here okay, so it's very good. 5 minutes? Yeah. Now it stopped. But this is very important, guidance for the helpers. It's special necessary for in the later stages of illness. And those guidances, we are talking about how it's very often we see in helper groups that the one helper is much better than the other one. He's accepted in another way. And then we talk about that. It's in the group and ask, what are you doing what the other one isn't doing? And we have a talk. And that's very good. We can discuss. I have one patient and his wife, she's very it's important for her who comes, and she's looking at them and she's a bit suspicious, and when the helpers are a little bit nervous, they are out. And that's why we have those meetings, because it's very important to avoid escape. at the end I have to tell you, I should talk about how the help is in the whole Norway. And there's no part of Norway that's like our part. Everything is different. So for me to find out that, it was impossible. And that's why I thought I'd tell about what we do at the Sunniva clinic. So I'm sorry I couldn't tell you about the whole Norway, but I tell about us. And then